This video is going to look at modifying the ServiceNow Microsoft Outlook plugin in order to make it create a record in another table. So ServiceNow offers this Microsoft plugin which allows you to create a record, either an incident or a VTB item or task. So what we want to do is we want to make that same plugin give that the ability to create a story from an email. So let's start at the end, and I will just take a look at what we're going for here. So if I'm in my email, and I won't drag it all the way over, if I'm in my email and I have this, here's the ServiceNow add-in, because I already have it added in here. And I'm clicked on an email right now, so if I click on that, I have three options. So this is the out-of-the-box options: create incident or create VTB task. And I added, or this video is going to look at how I added this create story. I click create story, it pops up the story form, gives me the number, I can choose the product, and puts the subject of the email in the short description, and the body of the email along with the from, sent, and to, and NECC, and then here's the body in the description field. So that's what the end result that we're going for. I'm going to be following this blog post I have, and I'll put the link in the description, which has basically all the step-by-step instructions for doing this. So the first thing we want to do is activate the ServiceNow add-in for Microsoft Office, and I have a link to the documentation. I won't go through that because that's simple enough. The second thing we want to do is create a record in the SN_office_control table. So first of all, credit to this site, which I have up here, which explains how to create an HR case in ServiceNow add-in for Outlook. So this is pretty good. It brings you through some of it, but then it kind of falls off when you get to the widget piece. So that's where I'm kind of filling in some of the blanks. But this site definitely helped me on this first step anyway, in terms of creating this record. So let's go and take a look at that table. So we go office control.list, and we can see that I already have this created here. So there are four records in here. Here's the create incident, the create VTB. These are the out-of-the-box records. This is the parent of those two records. So if we go into the here, we can see that this is the type menu. And then if we go into the create story record, this is a type menu item. So label, create story, description, create story. We link that to the parent control, which usually there's only one in there, yeah, called ServiceNow, and to the same manifest. And this is actually linking back to that parent item, that menu that we just saw before. And then the manifest here is in the ServiceNow for ITSM. You could, if you played around with this, you could probably create your own manifest and then have your own icon in here, and it wouldn't say ServiceNow. It might say, help desk or whatever else you're doing. So that could be interesting, maybe for another video. But for now, we're just going to stick this in the same ServiceNow for ITSM. And then you can get the icons here, which are actually listed in this article that I linked. And I think they're probably just the same, probably the same ones that are in the other, actually no, I think they're a little different because, yeah, these ones have task icons. Anyway, you can play with that right here. So yeah, this is just giving the now 16 icons, and those are giving the task icons. Just to give you an idea, those are these icons here. So this is just using the generic now icon. Okay, anything else in here? So the other important thing is here, relative URL. So I'm doing /SNC Outlook, which is the same for every one of them. And the ID is the page that we're going to create. So this is Outlook_create_story. So that's it for this. Once we have that record created, actually, let me just mention, so there are a couple of Once you create these records, you can't modify them because there are some ACLs in here, which I ended up disabling. If you go into the security rules, and I think there's a write ACL on this, and I think it's this one. No, these are the active ones. So maybe I didn't disable this. Oh, no, what I did is I just changed it to true here. So I cheated a little bit, and rather than having to create another whole record because I messed up some of the values, I just put the answer equals true. Otherwise, basically, it won't let you modify because I think it creates the manifest somehow. That's the XML file that gets imported into Outlook. So it doesn't want you to change stuff, but I was able to change things and it was fine for the manifest. So use it at your own risk, I suppose. Okay, so after we've created this record in SN Office Control, now we're going to go to the table, and in this case we're doing it on the RM story table, and we want to create a view called Outlook. So that's simple enough. I go stories, and we all know how to create a view. You can do this any way you want. I put the view in this same scope, ServiceNow add-in for Microsoft Outlook, just to kind of keep everything in that scope. And so you see I have the Outlook view. So this should be a single column layout, because basically whatever you put in here is what's going to fit right into this. That keeps collapsing on me. Is whatever's going to fit into this little window pane here. Okay, so that's the view called Outlook. One gotcha here, and this took me a while to figure out, is if you have view rules running on this table, and this table does have a view rule that forces it to the Scrum view most of the time, you're going to want to disable those or modify them so that you'll be able to call the Outlook view without a problem, because you can imagine the Scrum view in this Outlook pane over here doesn't really work very well. Okay, so once that view is created, then we're going to go and this is really where the bulk of the work is. We're going to go and clone and modify the Create Incident Portal widget. So we'll go back here and we'll look at widgets and Service Portal widget. So the one we want to clone is called Create Incident. And let's just go in here before we clone it and take a look at how it works. Okay, so we'll start in the server script. And so what this is doing is, because this widget, the out-of-the-box widget, if you are logged in as an ITIL user, and the first time that you, when you activate the plugin in Outlook, and you click on it for the first time, it's going to ask you to log in. So if you are an ITIL user, then it's going to give you whatever form. Well, in the out of the box, or this is the incident, it's going to give you the incident form with the Outlook view, right? Because you're a fulfiller, or you're an agent basically. So you're going to be creating an incident that way. If you don't have the ITIL role, that's where this else statement comes in. It's going to go and grab the catalog item with this sysID, which I think is, it's in a system property, which you can modify. It's going to go grab that catalog item and display that in the Outlook pane, because basically you're a requester at that point, and so you're just going to be putting in an incident. For this video, or for this implementation, I should say, we're not going to be using this section because we're going to assume, because we're creating a story, that everybody is ITIL that's creating the story. And we'll look at that in a second. So we're basically just not going to use this else piece. I left it in there because I just left it in there. But in the real world, you probably could get rid of all this stuff and just use basically from lines 12 through 26. So the other piece is over here in the HTML template. So we have a few different divs that display depending on, here we got three of them, depending on what's happening here. So the first div is what happens if the data is not valid. So when it goes and tries to grab the form, then it just gives you this message, hey, I can't find it, form not available. The second div from line 5 is if you're ITIL, then it's going to give you the ITIL, it's going to give you the incident form. And then once that form is submitted, it's going to show this, which is inside of this. Yeah, right. So this div actually has two divs inside of it. One of this is the show confirmation div. This is in the end. When after you submit it, you're going to be able to go and click on it to go look at it. And we're going to have to change this line 11. And the second div is right here starting on 16. And this is going to be where it goes and grabs the form, actually. And somewhere in here here's the attachment section. Right here. Yes, so the form modal comes from data.f. So it actually uses if we look over here in the server script, yeah, right here, this $sp.getForm, right? So it's going to go grab that form with that view. And so that's how it gets displayed over here. And then the other div is if you are not ITIL, and that's going to give you the catalog item, basically. And there are a couple divs inside there. I haven't really explored that, but it's probably the same idea. It either shows you the confirmation page if you submitted, or it just shows you the catalog item. Okay, the last piece we're going to look at in here, and again, we're still in the out-of-the-box create incident widget, is down here, line 107 in the client script, populate fields. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that too. So this is where it takes, so it's using the Office.js library, and it's taking the value from item here. So this is window, office, context, mailbox, item. So this is the email that you're clicking on. And it's doing a set value for the short description. So it's popping the subject of the email into the short description. And then it is popping the body, basically. So it goes and gets the body and does some function and then comes back. And it's sticking the body in the comments, which is kind of annoying. And there are a few questions I noticed on the community site asking how the heck do you remap this, because I want to put that in the description, not in the comments. And we'll actually do that in this widget once we clone it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clone this, and I won't do it because I already did it, but we all know this. We just go here and do clone create incident, and then once we do that, that will create this widget. So first thing we're going to want to do is we want to change the names here. So we're going to open in platform, and we're going to change the name from create incident to create story, and then the ID is going to be Outlook_create_story. We'll save that. Then let's go take a look around here at the different things that we did. So let's start with the server script. So I left ITIL in here, even though that's probably not the best thing. It'd probably be better to check if you have. Actually, in this solution, we don't really care what the role is. We're assuming that everybody has the ability to create a story in here. But maybe a better way to do that would be, check to make sure they have the Scrum, I think like story creator role or something like that. I just left it as ITIL. And so this I left alone. The only things I changed here are line 12. Instead of data.table being incident, it's going to rm_story. Everything else stays the same. The view stays the same. It's also called Outlook. Yeah, everything else stays the same here. So really the only thing I changed is this RM story, but you could change line 4 so it checks for the right role and not necessarily the ITIL role. The HTML template, there is just one change. That's line 11. So this is the, once you submitted your record, this is the button with the link in order to go view it. And so instead of incident.do, it's rm_story.do. Simple enough. Then a lot of the work happens in the client script, or a lot of the modifications happen in the client script. So from line 11 through 18, we're going to want to change these messages. So instead of your incident has been created, it's going to be your story, create new, view story here on line 15, etc. You can just use that. Okay, also in the client script, and this is what I was showing earlier with the populate fields function right here. So populate fields. So what I did here is, and we can see in the example here, that what I'm doing is I'm in the description, I'm putting the from, so with the email address, the sent, the to, who it was to, CC. So I'm basically like pasting the whole email into the description field. I was doing this late at night, and that's probably not the best thing. It's probably best just to put the body of the email in the description, and then maybe put the whole email in the comments field. But anyway, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing this for the purpose of illustration at this point. So let's look at this. So this I didn't change. So the short description is the item.subject. That's no problem. That remains the same. When I initially did this on line 118, I just had gform set value description result right description. So this was a comment, I think, in the original one. Oh, here we have it. Oh, no, we don't have it there. Yeah, we do have it. CSS body template here, client controller. Populate fields. So this was originally, yeah, comments. And I just changed that to description. And that's probably what you want to do. Now, I have this other thing that goes and gets the to and the sent date, etc. So basically what I'm doing is I'm setting up this variable called description or desk. And I put from, and we look at things in the item object, so item.from.email address. So in the article, I have right here a link to the Microsoft Docs page and documentation, and this gives you all of the properties of that item object, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, and we're going to look at details by mode. We want anything in the message read. Right, so you can even get like the attachments from the message. A lot of stuff going on here. Here's the body, message read. So this gives you everything that's in there, plus some methods. Okay, so going back here, I just did the from address, and then the sent is the item.date created. And then the to and the CC, so because so the from is just one address, right? So it's just there's just a simple object in there. But the to and the CC are actually an array. So I created this function to just pull out the display name and the email address in each of the to and the CC arrays. Again, if you don't care about that, just ignore all this stuff and use what's commented out on 118 to stick the body of the message in the email. But this is just some neat stuff. And then at the end, right, I just set the value of description to this desk that I built up in these past few lines. Okay, so that is modifying the client script. Make sure we got everything here. That's the whole client script. And we did this, modify the HTML template, change the href at 11 to rm story. Right, we did that. Okay, so now we want to copy and modify the Outlook Home portal page. So if we go back here and we go Pages, So service portal pages, and we look at, nope, not that one. It's called Outlook Home. Right, Outlook Home. So interestingly, they named it Outlook underscore index. I guess that was like the main, that's probably the first thing they did, right? When they was like, hey, let's be able to create an incident from an email inside of Outlook. So they just named it the incident index page. And then you notice, right, then, oh, okay, they added VTB afterwards. And now we're adding this create story. So here's the page, Outlook Home. And if we go into this in Designer, we can take a look at it. And so this just has the Outlook logout widget up here, and then here it has the create incident widget, which we just cloned. So basically we're just going to copy this page, and again, or clone it rather, and I won't do this because I already did it. And in the new page, go to that in Designer. And so we're going to remove the create incident widget and add the create story widget, which is the one we modified. So at this point, you should be able to go to that page in the portal. So let's go back. Let me get the link. Actually, I think I have the link in my article here. Yeah. So SNC Outlook ID equals Outlook underscore create story. We'll head over here and let's do it in here. Okay, so yeah, you can't see that, but I'm pasting that up into the, here, let me move that down a little bit. So here you see it's in the URL there. And very simple, here's the logout widget, and here is the story form in the Outlook view. So of course, short description and description are blank because remember, it's the client script that goes and grabs the subject and the body of the email and dumps it into here. Okay, our next step then is to download the manifest and install the plugin. So there's a good support article, which I have linked, and that kind of takes us through all of the steps. Just we'll look at it quickly. I think this is called Office, or is it Outlook? Yeah, Office add-in manifests. And here's our ServiceNow for ITSM. So we can download that. And let me see if I can pop that open. You can have a look at it. Right, so I have it here in VS Code. And we won't go through all the gory details, but you can just see, so there's another, so here are the, well, here it's really easiest to go down here. And so we see a URL, here's our URL, right, SNC Outlook, ID Outlook underscore create underscore story, and the ID is this thing. Here are some of the short strings, right? We can see this create story. This is the description fields. Again, I just put create story for both things. So basically you can see it kind of, you can see it in here. There's not real, I mean, this basically, ServiceNow builds this file for you, so you don't have to worry about anything in here, but it's just interesting to see what's going on. Okay, so we downloaded that. Now, we're going to head over to Outlook and install it. And I won't do that because the support article basically explains how to do that pretty well. One thing that I found is because basically you install the manifest on the web, and if you're then when you go back to the desktop client, you have to close it. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit. And then reopen it, and eventually you will get the ServiceNow icon to appear here on the home screen. And then you'll be able to do this, right? Create it. This is the out of the box create incident, and you'll have your out of the box create story. So that is how to modify the ServiceNow Outlook plugin to be able to add a story, and you can use this same pattern to create records in any table.